I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I know there were people waiting, and now we have the wrong stream. But that's okay. You will find me here, I am sure. So I'm just giving a second for people to switch over to this stream. I am so sorry. The thing is, it seems to be impossible once you are in a stream like this to flip cameras. And even though I had set it up earlier today, once you're in the stream, you can't flip it. So I had set it up with the proper camera, but I couldn't flip it. And though interesting, I don't think the view of my blinds is necessarily the most interesting view I could potentially provide you with. So, hello, we're back. So good morning. I was going to say afternoon or evening, whatever it is, but that's Penboy Roy's thing, isn't it? Good day, whatever time it is for you. I am not streaming with an iPad. I'm streaming with a Surface tablet. I got it fairly recently. I really like it. It's been a wonderful device to work with. I also think it has a pretty crisp camera because like I can see pores in my face, so how happy I am. But as I said, once the camera is set, it's set. Now, I think what happened, that's not really what happened, but I know that I just rebooted because there was an update, and now I see a weird thing. What the hell is this? Microsoft Edge. What the hell is Microsoft Edge? I don't want Microsoft Edge. God damn. Microsoft Edge, get away. Get out of here. Unpinned from the taskbar. I don't want to see you again. Hello. Sorry. I'm all there now. Sorry. Okay. Yeah, it's interesting. So yeah, so I'm sure I'm not the only one with the issues. It's kind of strange because you would think that if YouTube has a live stream setup like this, that it would default to your front camera and not your rear camera. I suppose. I don't really know why it would stream through that. Anyway, it doesn't matter. It would also be really neat because, of course, the back camera has very high quality. It's good resolution for a device camera. It'd be nice if I could flip it because then I could show you a pen on that side. But I can't show you a pen on that side because it can't flip as we are live, as we have found out earlier today. But just saying. Any hope for the Kenobi series? I don't know. Were there issues? Because I thought there was. Or was there any idea of cancellation? I didn't know. I thought that was going through. I thought, what's his name? Ewan McGregor had confirmed he would be in it. So I thought that was happening, but maybe it's not happening anymore. Who knows? I wouldn't be surprised. Which pen do you prefer, a Waterman Carène or a Lamy 2000, and why? Well, those are very different pens. One is very classic, and one is a very modern design. For looks, I would pick the Carène simply because I like the design better. For writing ability, I might pick the Lamy. It's only because my Carène had a bit of a leaking issue if you used a converter. I've heard that from other people, but there's also people I've heard from who do not have that. Also, I should point out that Friday night, I woke up to a migraine, which is now largely under control, but I still have a little bit of that. And my migraines are not very frequent, but they are strange, and they give me odd neurological symptoms. So just so you know, if I suddenly start to speak in an incoherent fashion or start to slur, then it's that, which I don't expect to happen, but just so you know. So if I seem weirder than normal, that's it. But typically you do get a little bit of sort of cognitive slowness afterwards, which is weird and which I do notice. So just so you know, I'm okay. It's just, there is that. Okay. Yeah, someone comments on the camera quality. I'm quite pleased with this, given that this is like a built-in front camera of a device. I think it's not bad at all. Someone suggested someone I could record the reviews with this, and I could. The only problem is it doesn't focus very well up close. I don't know if there's a manual control for that. That would be interesting. But then I would kind of revert back to how I used to do things, but not putting the pen down, having the pen here, and I still have to record a writing sample, which I can't do. I don't think it's going to happen, but it's a crisp camera. Yes. Anyway. That's a good one. I thought it was going blind. Yeah. Nice. Well done. Yeah. I don't want Microsoft Edge. Go away. I don't like Edge. I don't want Edge. I was debating on getting a Kaweco Al Sport or a Parker IM as my next pen. Well, those two are quite different pens because, of course, the Kaweco is going to be a small pocket pen and the IM is a full-sized pen. So that is, I think, a matter of aesthetics, but also how you want to use it. If you want to be very, very portable, then the Kaweco is probably the best choice. If it is a Parker IM, then it's a normal size pen, and you may need something like whatever you want, how you want to carry it, a pen sleeve or a thing, to carry the pen in. Yes. This time slot, I had a meeting this morning, so I couldn't do it at a regular time, and that is why we're doing it now. Yes. Do you know of an ebonite eyedropper pen with a shutoff valve and an ink window? No, there are ebonite eyedroppers. But with an ink window, no, I don't. Because you can easily install that yourself. Just carve a hole, put some. No, I don't know. I wouldn't. No. Maybe someone else has input. People, ebonite pen, eyedropper, ink window. Hello. What's my favorite ink? Well, SBREBROWN, which I actually believe I don't have in a pen right now. And I have one slot. Well, that clearly suggests what needs to be inked up. SBREBROWN is definitely very high up my list. I mean, it's my own ink, and I do really like how that turned out. So I like that. Yes, I agree, Alan. This is an emotional roller coaster. It is. With the, there's no podcast. It's the wrong camera. Like I have to keep things interesting, right? If you've been in a relationship for a while, you have to do things to keep things exciting. So this was my contribution to the excitement. I have a vanishing point. What gold nib pens would you recommend after that? Well, again, Lamy 2000 is interesting. It's not everyone's flavor, but it is a sort of a staple pen. I think been around for a long time. Has a good track record. Is an interesting writer. Is a good writer. Has a piston. So that might be something you could check out. Greetings from the left coast. I am left coast-ish. Bar number of kilometers, but on the leftish end of my country. Have you seen the Panader Back to the Future? I have not seen the Panader Back to the Future, but I can look for it. Oh, that is very interesting. Of course, to each his own. I will honestly say that it's absolutely not my type of pen in looks, but I haven't touched it, I haven't held it, so just on the basis of visual aesthetics, not my favorite pen. But maybe when you hold it, it's very different. You are not into old pens. This is correct. Have you ever tried old Japanese eyedroppers with Genjiro Kabutogi's nib? Kabutogi? I think I have that right. No, I have not. That's just the short answer. The somewhat longer answer is I have used a Japanese eyedropper, the one-way shutoff valve, that super thick pen, but no, that's it. Hello from Egypt. Hello back. Is there a difference between the single and the double reservoir power fillers? Yes. One has a single, one has a double reservoir. I know that was not your question. I'm just kidding. Vis-a-vis taking them on a flight. I suppose it depends a bit on how that piston closes off the ink flow, because the advantage of the double reservoir filler is that you can open up the piston. This is not a power filler, but it's a similar type concept, right? On the cone head. So this is, let's call it the secondary chamber and the primary chamber, or the other way around. I always like to call the bigger one the primary chamber. But there is ink in there. I could open this up. This is very full, so I don't know how much ink will come out, but theoretically I could drain this ink back into the barrel from the secondary to the primary chamber, and I could close this up, and if this would be completely empty, then no ink can be expelled if there are pressure differences in the cabin. But I don't really know what the single chamber power filler looks like. Oh, this is really close to the microphone. Is this ASMR? As long as you can close off that ink supply, I guess that could also be helpful for a flight, as opposed to, say, a piston filler or a cartridge converter filler, where you cannot really close it off, right? The ink supply, the main reservoir. That's, I would say, my answer. I hope that makes sense. Hello from Brussels. Hello back. Finally decided on my new fountain pen. Got a Twisby Eco stub. Nice. They're nice. Ecos. Yeah. Yeah. Hello. I'm looking for a pen with a two-tone, broad gold nib, not made by Pilot, Platinum, Sailor, Lamy, or Pelican. Yeah, maybe an older Visconti, but that, I think that those newer gold nibs I saw were monotone, single tone. I don't know if that's what you're looking for. Because that really is kind of the brands I would be looking for if it has to be two-tone. I mean, of course, you could buy any pen with a Jovo nib and put a two-tone Jovo nib on it. That would be a simple solution. Have you ever tried the Pilot Custom Urushi? No, I have not. It's on my list, but there's also not really, and then it is, and then it's not really, and I don't know. I have to con someone out of it. For reference, a posted Sailor Pro Gear slimmer, unposted Pelican M405. Yeah, something smaller, or even a Kaweco that you post, but that you get with a gold nib upgrade. That maybe that could work. Here too, people. More suggestions are welcome from the audience. Oh, interesting. Santini. Ask Santini to make one. Yeah, that's an option. Yeah. Jules, hello. Nice to see you. I'll see you. Interact with you again. Hi. I've missed you. Oh, I see. But this Santini, that was a fault to the other question of ebonite eyedropper with ink window. Yes, Santini might be able to make you one. Yeah. Leonardo maybe, but their models are not really eyedropperable. So what else do we have? Roger, he looks lonely. Yeah, he's a little lonely. I mean, he does have some cousins, but you know. Oh, that's also good. Ebonite eyedroppers with ink windows, phosphor pens, FOSFOR. In India make them. The wait's over a year and a half though. Well, if you're not in a rush, you know. Best blue and black ink for a fountain pen. I mean, which does not harm the pen. Blue, when it comes to blues, I am quite conservative, but I really like, I don't know how well this is going to show up. I happen to have a slightly cream colored paper here, but here's a blue I really like. Waterman, Obviously, the top thing's red. That's different. Something else. Waterman Serenity Blue. I really like. As to black, my favorite is Aurora Black. And as to blue black, which is also a thing, I really like this one, which is Waterman something blue, mystery blue, I think. And that's not the darkest blue black. There are blue blacks that are more on the black end, so they're darker. This one is fairly light, but I think it is quite a nice ink. And these are all, I would say, safe as can be inks. What else do we have? Any recent acquisitions? Yeah, but nothing is in my possession yet. Once I have them, I will show them. What else do we have? A good alternative to a fountain pen is the Uniball Air Micro. Have you ever tried one? I don't think I have. I know that Aziza had some Uniball pen that she was very fond of. I'm not saying she doesn't anymore, but I wonder if that was one of those and that I used it. But it doesn't immediately ring a bell. Not in the spirit of question asked, but the Opus Coloro has ebonite bits, so I guess it's an ebonite pen with a massive ink window. Yeah, that's true. A barrel-sized ink window. Nice. What else? Oh, over scroll again. It's really not that easy, this scrolling business. So, SBREBROWN ink arrived, plus Diamine Ho 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 Red and Delft Blue. Oh, come on, we're a pleasure to deal with. The inks are great, beautifully packaged, and some free coffee butterscotch style sweets. Ah, yes. Haagse hopjes. Story of the Haagse hopje. This is a little hard candy. The story was something like, there was a baron who, if I remember correctly, there was a baron who lived somewhere over a confectionery shop. He was told by his doctor that he could not have something anymore, like not drink alcohol anymore, I think. And he got into coffee. He put coffee, this is back in the day, he put coffee in one of those big tin pots on a stove with a lot of cream in it and some sugar in it. But then he forgot about it. So the water in the coffee slowly evaporated overnight, and then he was left with this sort of caramelized goo. And he tasted it. Why? Only God knows, but he tasted it and he liked it. He went to the confectioner downstairs and said, "You should make this as candy." Baron Hop, Haagse Hopje in Den Haag, The Hague. Is there no bounds to my knowledge of useless trivia? Answer, no, there is no bounds to my knowledge of useless trivia. Do you have, anyway, and I'm happy that you like the inks, that you like the Ackermann. Yeah, they're very nice people. It's a very nice shop to deal with, I agree. Do you have a favorite bridge or span? For example, Golden Gate Bridge. I must admit that I had never asked myself the question before. There is a bridge in the city of Cologne, very close to the central station. I think, in fact, it's leading kind of into the central station, across the Rhine River, and it's very nice because it is filled with locks that people put on it to commemorate their love. It's very sweet and romantic. Of course, it weighs down the bridge, and one day the bridge will collapse, but that's collateral damage to eternal love. My pen won't write strokes to the left. Do you have any suggestion to solve the problem? Tines look fine and are aligned. Throw it out. No, a more concrete suggestion, yeah. Even a microscopic misalignment can lead to issues, even if you can barely see it. Like, it may look like they're kind of aligned, but there is just a tiny bit, like it's off a tiny bit that can already be enough. I would say really, like, it could be a matter of dryness, that it's just dry. It could be a matter of it being over polished, that it just doesn't connect to the paper properly. It's not a free solution, but a guaranteed to work solution is send it to a nibmeister and have him or her work on it, and it'll come back and it'll be perfect because they have one look at it and they say, ah, it's this, and they do it in minutes. But you will pay for their services. But if that means that your pen then works flawlessly, you have to make that you have to weigh those options, right? What else do we have? Have you added the Aero Volu to your collection? If not, why? Yeah, no. I have had an Aero, a Diplomat Aero, ended up selling it. I just didn't use it that much. It's a nice pen. I really like the fluted design of the barrel and the cap. I think it looks very beautiful, but I found the section on the thin side for me personally, and therefore it wasn't a very good fit. So I ended up selling it. But it's beautiful, there's nothing wrong with the pen. Okay. We're talking about issues of the economy with the corona crisis. Is the Netherlands affected strongly? I think every country is, and a smaller country, largely depending on trade, like the Netherlands, would be hit as well. My only hope is that as sort of lockdown measures are being released a bit and people go out again, they will start to spend money because they've been inside for so long. But I sincerely hope that's not idle hope. I hope people will actually do that, stimulate the economy again, and things will happen. Do you find any logical reason for the burping issues with eyedroppers not to happen with piston fillers? Yeah, there are people who I recently saw that on my channel. Someone commented and said, I don't believe in this. So the standard theory of burping in eyedroppers caused because you have a large air bubble at some point, the heat from your hand transfers into the barrel of the pen that expands the air and pushes out the ink. And I think his point was, I've never had that happen, so I don't think it's true. Well, I have had that happen, and I I do think it's true, but that doesn't mean that necessarily that either person is wrong. I think it also depends on a number of factors. The climate you're in, for example, is it very hot? Is it very dry? Is it very humid? But also you, right? Like if you have people who just have colder hands, you have people who have warmer hands. That's just a natural phenomenon, and I can see how that would affect that burping issue. In itself, you raise a good point, because if it is the expansion of an air bubble, then why doesn't a piston filler have it? For example, take something like a Meisterstück, like the Mont Blanc pens. That's very thin material, right? So you would expect that there's a lot of transfer of heat and that there would be more burping. Maybe the air bubble, relatively speaking, is smaller. I don't know. That's another thing to think about. And like, I mean, that this is interesting, this kind of reasoning. I mean, I'm yet to see like a paper in Nature or Science explaining the burping behavior in fountain pens, right? That's probably not going to happen, although that would be interesting. But I don't know. I've always just kind of taken that as a logical explanation and thought, yeah, that makes sense to me. But how thick is the wall of the pen? And that's a good point. Why doesn't it happen with a piston filler? Yeah, a mystery. We have to do an experiment. It's the only way to figure it out. Take a bunch of eyedroppers, a bunch of piston fillers, people with known high hand temperature, have them grasp the pen and just write away for 6 hours. It's in the name of science, you know? That's the only way to figure it out, because I wouldn't know what to do. So if any of you feel the need to do this, measure your hand temperature, use different pens, use different contexts, put your hand in the freezer, well, not in the freezer, put your hand on an ice pack and a towel for a couple minutes, see what happens. Don't put your hand in the microwave, but like warm it up, make sure it's really nice and warm and use it, see what happens. It's the way to do it. Is it true what they say about people with large fountain pens? It's true. They're all in proportion. Okay, what is the attraction of broad nibs? It seems to me that broad nibs cause unwanted infill of letters for average to smaller handwriting. Are they used more for drawing and document signatures? Well, depends on your handwriting. If you have larger handwriting, then there's no issue with a broad nib. If you have microscopic handwriting, I'm exaggerating, or you have small handwriting, then yeah, there's an issue. I've always had fairly large handwriting, so if I write with a broad nib, which I have here, there's no real issue, I think. That's written with a broad nib. Not the world's broadest broads in Opus 88, but still, that's written. That's fine. Arthur Twiddle, in his book on fountain pens, said that the test, his dad had a fountain pen store, and he inherited that fountain pen store. Is that the trick is you write a lowercase e, and if that little bowl is filled in with ink, well, then the nib is too broad for you. But some people have large handwriting. If they have large handwriting, why shouldn't they be able to use a broad? If you have small handwriting, well, then it's not for you. The advantage of a broad nib, of course, is that there is more tipping material, so there's more to polish, and as a result, it will be smoother. It will give you a smoother writing experience than any fine nib ever will. Even if it is very well polished, there will be a bit of feedback because there simply isn't that much tipping material. That, I think, is the big advantage. And yeah, it is a bolder line, so if you want to use that for, say, a signature, that will be a bolder signature, for sure. Yeah. Roger could stand behind you and put a hand on each of your shoulders. He could also massage your shoulders and help you with the migraine. That's not a bad idea. I don't know if he has much strength because he's not the most muscular guy in the world. If you had to start over in Hello from Greece, Yasu Tikanis. If you had to start over again in your academic career in a different field, what would it be? That's an interesting question. There's a couple of fields I find interesting. Now that I'm a little older than I was when I started to study, I think philosophy would be an interesting field. But there are other fields as well. I have recently retaken shining to astronomical stuff, so astronomy I think would also be very interesting. But a field that I find very, very interesting is also medicine, and that I think is a field that I would absolutely like to explore more in an academic setting. Being an amateur, the thing though is you can be an amateur philosopher, you can be an amateur astronomer, but being an amateur doctor is not a wise course of action. But that is interesting. Yeah. Okay. I'm very slowly scrolling. Have I ever owned a Sheaffer pen? I don't find it the most appealing brand myself, purely based on the aesthetics of the modern Sheaffers. I've had a Sheaffer snorkel filler, a vintage pen, but also ended up something happened. I'm selling it, I think. Quite skinny. Nice, but quite skinny. A great filling system, a bit convoluted, but it works very well. But I don't have any currently Sheaffers, I think. Sheaffer Pop, Yoda. Yes, I have the Yoda fountain pen. That's the only Sheaffer I think I have. I have to give that some thought. Oh, what do we have here? Oh, more ASMR. That could have sounded really flatulent. It was just a zipper, people. Don't worry. There we go. Sheaffer Pop, Yoda. That's the only Sheaffer, isn't it? Yeah, it's the only Sheaffer. What else is in there? Oh, I guess you'll never know. I'm betting $10 with myself right now that someone's going to ask me what else is in there. Okay, what else do we have? Best single pen pouch. I'll tell you what. Morgan-esque made me, I don't have it right here within arm's length, but Morgan-esque. I want to say UK, but could be US. Sorry, it's been a while and I reviewed that. Made me a single pouch for larger pens, like say the Namiki Emperor. And it was very high quality work. And I really like that. So just Morgan, and then esque as in Esquire, ESQ, Morgan-esque was very, very nice. Single pen, sleeve and leather, worked very well. Yeah. What else? What nib are you using in KBF? What does KBF stand for? I'm sorry. I may be particularly, as I said, I'm not 100% today, so I may be slow-witted, but okay, the first thing that comes up is kayak bass, bass fishing. I'm assuming that's not. I don't know what KBF is, so I need further explanation. Sorry. Have you noticed if any of your students are using fountain pens? Yes, I have even converted a few to become fountain pen users because they sometimes find my videos. And then some of them think, oh, that's pretty cool. And they start to use fountain pens. So it does happen. Yes, it's very cute. I always enjoy that. Are restrictions being lifted in Canada as well? Yes, they are. We were slowly opening up. This Alberta is it's basically, I would say, 3 kind of bigger cities, with one not even being that big, but it's Edmonton, Red Deer, Calgary, and beyond that, there's a lot of open space. So it's a relatively sparse population, which is a good thing in this case. So yes, we are opening up, and there are other cities, but like that's I would say the main cities, central Alberta anyway. And so yes, we are. Aziz and I will not be together very soon yet, but we will be at some point. Yeah. I scoff at Mont Blanc in principle, but secretly want a Mont Blanc slimline. Yeah, also check out the Mozart, because the Mozart's basically tiny little Mont Blanc metal, not flat top, but it is cute and small and slim. You may enjoy that. What else do we have? Do you have a favorite vintage pen or vintage pen company? Not really, because I'm not really a vintage pen user, but if I would have to pick something, I do have a bit of a soft spot for Omas. Even though their pistons kind of sucked and fell apart, I do like Omas. Parker Dual Fold is two-tone. Yes, thank you. I think later a €250 whatever limit was added, so I don't know if that's going to cut it, but yeah. How do you clean your Mont Blanc? Well, I have a wrench that allows you to open up take out the nib unit and remove the piston unit. That's easy. I don't actually own a Mont Blanc anymore, but Aziza does. Beyond that, if you don't have that, don't want to void your warranty, because your warranty is void as soon as you do that. Drawing up water and expelling it. It's the only way to do it. You could use a pen flush, but that's the way to do it. So, yeah. What's your favorite steel stub nib? Steel stub nib. I think I had I want to say an Opus 88 with a stub nib. That was pretty nice. I've also liked the Leonardo steel stubs. I like the gold a little better, I'll be honest, but the steel stubs are quite nice. Your review made me feel safe in the purchase. Oh, this was the Trisbee Eco. Yeah, it's nice. And the stub, as I said, the Trisbee stubs, I think I said that. The Trisbee stubs are nice. I didn't say that. The Trisbee stubs are nice too. Yeah. Greetings from Antwerp. Greetings back. Thank you. Pilot Blue Black. Yeah, that's a good blue black. That's right. That's a good blue black ink. I would like to study 2 disciplines, art and the violin. As someone who studied the brain, would that be possible, or would it be best to focus on one? No, I don't think it matters. They're different skills. In fact, I think it's a good thing. It's shown to be a protective factor for aging. If you learn multiple skills, you study a lot. And it's not like you're learning, say, 2 languages where one may interfere with the other. It's difficult too, because there is evidence that suggests that bilingualism is a good thing for children. Some research shows that bilingualism is not a good thing for 2 children, because they kind of learn two languages poorly as opposed to 1 language well. Others say it's actually good because you can switch better. Sorry. I think it's absolutely possible and a good thing to do. Just you practice 10,000 hours, right, to be a master at anything. So that's 20,000 hours for 2 skills. which is a little disturbing. But what's your preference, Japanese or German chef knives? I really like German chef's knives for the shape and that rocking motion cutting. But Japanese steel is hard to beat. So if you were to force me to make a choice, I would probably pick a Japanese chef's knife. Yeah. I'm currently using, it was a Williams-Sonoma exclusive made by Shun for Williams-Sonoma. I want to say it's the Fuji series. I'm not 100% sure. 10-inch Fuji chef's knife. It's beautiful. This is by no means a spectacular steel as steels go, but it's a nice steel, nice enough for me. And it's a lot of fun to use. Yeah. I have Sailor Ink, but the smell is always left on my pen. Yeah, Sailor Ink has a specific smell. I know exactly what you mean, and it's sailor smell. It'll come out, but yeah. Could you talk about your fountain pen shipping experience to Canada, for example, from the US, UK, or EU? Absolutely. I've not had any issues, but of course the problem is the import. Right. If you are getting something shipped to you through a courier like UPS, FedEx, etc., then for sure you'll be hit with import. With regular mail, so in this case Canada Post, it may or may not happen. Some packages magically slip under the radar and you're not charged any import, but the experience has been good. Yeah, good. I wouldn't have any complaints, really. What alternative remedies have you tried for a migraine? Well, not many, because I haven't had this for very long, but I had a situation at some point. I can briefly talk about that. I don't know if this is of interest to everyone, but I found it interesting. After work, I drove to a mall in Calgary, which is about an hour and a half drive. And just because I wanted to just change the scenery and do something. So I drove there. I sat there eating in the food court. And all of a sudden, I lost part of my vision in one eye to the extent that it looked like someone had just put it like a dab of Vaseline on my eye. So I missed part of my vision, but it wasn't, it was just like blurred. I thought, that's weird. You rub it. No, it's not that. Something on my glasses. No. I noticed it because I was reading on my phone and I was like, this is really strange. But then being a cognitive neuroscientist, I also thought, it's also kind of cool, but what's going on? I thought, you know what? I'm a little sensitive to fluctuations in blood sugars. I probably waited too long with eating. It's probably nothing serious. Then I got up, moved around. I was fine. I did check because I thought this potentially could be a stroke. Can I do everything? Is my face okay? Yeah, I can do this. Okay, can I move my hands? Yeah, okay, well, that all sounds good. So I walked around a bit. Vision cleared enough. I was in the car, back. I thought there was no point staying. It was a bit weird. And then I had music on, and I started to, it's something I should never do, but I started to sing along with the song. And what came out was like that. And I thought, ooh, that's not too great. I was garbling my speech. So I thought that could well have been a stroke. So I was a little nervous, I was very close to another mall, stopped there. Thought, but I still, because you rationalize things to yourself. So I was testing my cranial nerves, like, oh, can I follow this? Yeah, I can follow this in my eye. Can I follow it this way? Yeah. Can I stick out my tongue? Yes, I can. Do I smell? Yes, I can smell. Do I hear? Yes, I can hear. Can I move my eyes in every direction? Yes, I can. I see? Yeah, now I see properly. But my speech, that's weird. But my tongue works. That's interesting. Nothing seems to be paralyzed. So what is going on? So I was in both sort of horror, but also neuroscientific fascination, what was going on with me. But I still thought hypoglycemia must be something low blood sugar So I went inside, had chocolate, had a hot chocolate. I could order it. My speech was clearing a bit. Saw a doctor. Doctor said, yeah, stroke. Or given that you're okay now, they call that TIA, right? A transient ischemic attack. So basically a stroke that's temporary, doesn't leave any permanent damage. So I was like, oh, that's really not good. I said, you should have blood work done. Did that. Anyway, to cut a long story short, did a CAT scan, came back clear, blood work came back clear. I saw a neurologist. At this point, I was freaking out because I thought this was like a stroke I can have. Because if you have a TIA, often there's a full-blown stroke with permanent damage after that. Not always, but it's an increased probability. So I saw this neurologist and was very nervous, and I described all my symptoms, and he said, migraine. I said, yeah, but I didn't have a headache. He said, no, but you can have a silent migraine. So you can have an aura, you can have neurological symptoms, like you can have garbled speech, you can lose vision in typically one eye or part of your eye. You could even have hemiplegic silent migraine, which means that you actually are paralyzed on one side of your body. But it's not a stroke. It's just a weird neurological effect that typically precedes a migraine. And I didn't get any headaches, but he was very confident. He did a full checkup and everything was fine. So very happy, of course. But yeah, sometimes I get this. And one thing that can trigger migraines is barometric pressure differences. But I also live in elevation now because Red Deer has an elevation, I want to say 855 meters, which is quite high if you come from a country that's below sea level. So that may have triggered something too. So I don't get this often, but I had it a couple nights ago. It was a bad headache I woke up to, and then I fell asleep again, and the morning was already better, but I have just a little bit of the last traces. I hope I haven't bored you to death with this story, but to me it was, again, a mix of horror and fascination, what was going on, but also understanding the brain a bit, thinking like, oh, is it this? Is it that? Could it work? Yeah, interesting. It's really weird, isn't it? You're a scientist or you're not. Sorry. Okay. Hello from Israel. Hello back. 1911 large purchased. Very nice. Very nice. Would you consider someone who really believes the earth is flat has a mental deficiency? No, I don't think it's a mental deficiency. I think it is more a matter of reasoning about certain things. And I think that it makes a lot of sense to think that the earth is flat, given that the earth is like, it looks like it's flat. The only problem is, look at any satellite image and you will see that it's not. And for some reason, some people still say, yeah, but that could be fake. Yeah, it could be. But now, don't conflate probability and possibility. It is possible that the United States government, for example, went through great trouble to fake a moon landing. That is possible. It's not necessarily probable, right? So a picture of the Earth being round sent to us from people on the moon, or later from like satellites and such, is possibly fake, but not probably fake, right? Because it would involve a lot of stuff to make that fake convincing. That's how I would try to approach that. Possibility and probability are not the same thing, but they're often confused by people. I think that something that is probable, something that's possible is also probable. That's not necessarily the case. All right. Hi. Yes, got that. Okay, got that. What else do we have? Hello, Zimar. Nice to, I was going to say see you, but you know what I mean. Nice to have you here. Very nice. Okay. Sorry, I'm scrolling again. What is your favorite Japanese fountain pen brand? I would go with Sailor. I have a thing for Sailor, and the reason is the nibs. I really like the nibs. There is a little bit of feedback, but they are very, very pleasant nibs for me to use, so I like them. Plus, strictly speaking, they made one of my #1 pens, right? The LB5. So I have an affinity for Sailor. I do. What is your opinion on stipula pens? Have you ever tried the Etruria? Yes, I own an Etruria. It's the Magnifica, but I've also had I don't have it here. I think I ended up selling it. This is a Magnifica. So the Etruria Magnifica, which has a piston fill, it's a little wider than the regular Etruria. Great pens. I think they're very nice. The thing with stipula is if they have their head in the game, they can make beautiful nibs. If they don't, they make nibs that are nibs. And that's really all you can say about them. So it depends a bit. If you get a good one, that one has a titanium nib. That's the best titanium nib I own. It's very fine, but it's very springy and it snaps back really nicely. It's a really, really pleasant nib. I really like it. Other suggestions for black, Monteverde Ocean Noir and Cross Black. Yeah, Cross Black is also a nice black. That's true. Yeah, I like that. I recently acquired a Platinum 3776 with soft fine nib, pretty feedbacky. It does not really bother me, but I'm still tempted to give it a couple runs in micro mesh. What do you think? Yeah, why not? I mean, they can be a bit of feedback, and just a little bit of polishing can go a long way. That's some profound wisdom. A little bit of polishing can go a long way. This is my Playboy model pose. Am I sexy? Yeah, I know I am. I know I am. Okay, what else? Hello, Vasilis. Oh, that's a good one. In the bridge question, Ponte del Vecchio, that is a very nice bridge. That is a very nice bridge. You are right. Yeah. What else do we have? What else do we have? Sorry, I need to scroll again, but it's a slow process because I want to overscroll. Any recent YouTube channel you can recommend? Any topic? Yeah, there is a channel I've really been enjoying, and that I'm always impressed by. The channel name is Sam Webster, and that's which is because the guy is Sam Webster. He's an MD, it's very interesting, medical doctor, but specialized in anatomy. And he does videos on general anatomy. Sometimes there's neuroanatomy, which I like best, but there's also other anatomy. It's very educational. He has a very clear teaching style, which I really love. And he's very good at explaining stuff. And now he's under lockdown. And usually he records videos in their, not lab, but in their, I guess it's a lab, but they have all their anatomical models. But now he's at home and he doesn't have any models. So he has to do it from the top of his head. So he talks from the top of his head about all the artery, innovating is not the right word, but the artery supplying the eye with blood, or this kind of stuff. And he does it from the top of his head, and I'm absolutely fascinated by the almost encyclopedic, actually, just that encyclopedic knowledge he has of anatomy. Very impressive, very fun channel, and he has a fun style. It's fun without it being a one-man show. It's entertaining and fun and very informative. So that one's good. Sam Webster. There are more stories on hobbies. I'm sure there are. I think I got this one from the Dikke van Dam. And if you're Dutch, you know what I'm talking about. It's like we had a famous food critic called Johannes van Dam, whose, I think, job was to disagree with everything because he always knew best. And in reality, he did always know best. That was a walking encyclopedia of cooking. And he wrote a very big book, sort of like an encyclopedia on cooking and food and such, called Dikke van Dam. That's only funny to Dutch people because Dikke van Dalen is our most famous dictionary. But that was a very, very, very good book to read. I think I got it there. All right, what else do we have? Any suggestions for some next level entry pens? Next level. Well, there is the Pilot Metropolitan. I always forget that that's a thing, but it's a great pen. The Platinum Procyon is a very nice pen that is a little bit fancier. It's very usable. Yeah. And I like it. What does that mean? Very usable. Sorry, again, I'm not 100%. So, like, it's a very nice pen. It's affordable, but it's a very good pen. That's what I was trying to say. So weird. Me, I mean. Can you suggest the safest pen? Can you suggest the safest pen for a flight? Guaranteed to not leak. But if that's not an option, take it empty. Like, take a cartridge converter, any cartridge converter, and a small box of cartridges. You'll be fine. There won't be any leaks. If the cartridge is not empty before you leave, you take it out, toss it in the bin, clean the pen, put it in your pocket, take it. That's what I would do. I don't really fly with ink pens a whole lot unless I absolutely have to. And to be honest, I've never really had serious leaks, but you can have a bit of a leak. That's absolutely true. Yeah. Do you find the A5 paper size to provide you a sufficiently large canvas while taking notes, designing courses, etc., especially since you prefer broader nibs and have a relatively large handwriting? Very good question. I prefer A4 in the European sizes, but A5 will work for me. And I sometimes also use, like, just the other day, I was using this to write a lot. This is a 3D printed pen. William Shakur, my friend from the UK, made this. I think they're now labeled as Titan pens, 3D printed. Not for everyone in looks, I'm very aware of that, but this is a large pen, and it has a fine, I want to say, titanium number 8 nib, which is really cool. I use that, and I fully understand what you're saying, because I definitely like broad nibs. I'm also known for broad nibs, but I also have quite a couple of finer nibs. I've grown into that, and then it's really not an issue. But indeed, if you like the broad nibs, if you do have some larger handwriting, which I definitely do, yeah, you'll run into issues. I have this here for work. This is A5 sized. You can put writing in it, right? I can put quite a bit of writing in it if necessary. That's like work notes. But yeah, A4 I prefer, but A5 is so carryable, right? You can easily carry that around without issues, and that's really nice. Hi, I got a neuroscience personal question combined. As a lazy Brit, it's a good way to start a question. I'm massively impressed by multilingual peeps. You can speak 5 languages. Do you dream in any language that's not Dutch? Good question. I think you do me too much credit. Dutch, English, German, French. Actually, I speak Dutch, English, German, bad French. Had a year of Latin, had a year of ancient Greek. But I don't speak, nobody speaks these dead languages, but I wouldn't say I'm fluent in those languages by a long shot. So let's call it 3 and a bad one, okay? Why's my hand so yellow? Is that the light? I'm suddenly dying of liver failure. Let's assume it's just the light. See, this is a good illustration of probable versus possible. Is it possible that all of a sudden I have liver failure and my hands are yellow? Yes, it is possible, but it's not very probable. Point made. Do I dream in any language that's not Dutch? I do. It depends a bit on what I dream of. It turns out that we dream kind of in specific contexts, and it's been shown that we typically dream of people that we know. You can also dream of people you don't know, but often the players in your dreams are people that you know. And then if I dream of Aziza, I won't go into detail. Then it would probably be an English dream because we speak English together. If I dream of friends, say, from the Netherlands, then I would probably dream in Dutch. So yeah, it can happen. It's weird. It's strange also that you can, sorry, see, that's a Dutchism because now I'm half switching, but it's also strange that you can think in different languages, right? And I switch sometimes. And you slip in things like I Skyped with some Dutch friends last week, and then you start to slip into your Dutch conversation English words like right or well or So, which is stuff you don't really use that way in Dutch. So it's interesting that you adjust and you start to even your fluency in language, because I can speak Dutch. I can switch to Dutch right now. But the small minuscule things become fluent and kind of get ingrained. Like it's a really vague sentence. That small things become embedded into a language that's your own, but you embed those foreign elements into that language. This was the most convoluted sentence I could probably have formed, but I did. Okay. Now this is another good one. What is your favorite country to have holiday in? You know, especially where we live in the Netherlands, I really like Germany. And this question was asked in German, but I'm not saying it because of that. I've always enjoyed Germany. Friendly people, nice food, a lot of interesting places, often superb museums, which is really nice, old castles. At some point, I visited the castle where Martin Luther was held captive. It's like, this was his cell. This is where Martin Luther, that's a historic context that's amazing. And that I find very interesting. So I like it. The metal rod in the barrel of a vacuum filler serves to lower the temperature of the ink, and that's why they don't burp. Oh, look at you being all smart. That's awesome. I did not know that. I never gave that any thought, but yeah, that makes sense. Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm serious because I enjoyed. Yeah, that's good reasoning. Solid. Beautiful. I love your skeleton. Waiting on my first SBREBROWN from Ackerman. Hashtag boom. Thank you. I hope you will enjoy it. I know you will because it's fantastic ink, but I mean, I hope you enjoy it. I bought a Wingsung 626 with a springy nib. For the fun of it, I want to say springy nib because I think we should now go there. Springy nib. It is very skippy. And under a loop appears to have tines that touch at the nib end itself. I don't see how the brass floss shims would work. Under a loop. Oh, you're saying that they don't spread out enough? Yeah, it depends what kind of nib it is. If it's not really a flex nib, then that's something that could be the case. Like that could be it. Like you can't make it springier. This again, I would say, might be a job for a nibmeister. Now, I know you may not be super happy about sending a Wingsung nib to a nibmeister, but do it anyway. What they can do to increase flexibility, for example, is shave off a little bit of the underside of the nib, making the metal thinner, and then it flexes more. Maybe that will help. I wouldn't necessarily venture there myself, because that's a bit more of a specialized operation that I wouldn't do. But yeah, that it could do something. I enjoy this comment. I've dreamt in French. My French is impeccable in my dreams. Nice. Yeah, it's possible. You can. If my newly ordered Mont Blanc pen works okay, would Appelboom's Nibmeister do some work on it, or will she leave it as it is? Well, that would really be a question for Appelboom, what you would want. If you want them to test it and adjust it, then they will do that, of course. I don't know what their policy is if they do that standard on every nib. I just don't know. So you'd really have to ask them. This is a follow-up question to the Wingsung. Can you suggest a means of gently pulling tines apart? It's driving me crazy. As you can guess with springy nib, I can go from skip. Yeah. Be careful. I have learned the hard way that pushing down on the tines of a nib is not the best way to do it, but you can take the shoulders of the nib, right? So that part, and you can pull ever so slowly, but be very, very gentle. Especially with some of the Chinese pens, the nibs, a little bit of pressure will make you end up with this, right? So be careful. What else? Speaking about eyedroppers, do you like to write with the same ink for a long time, or do you prefer to change inks often? A little bit of both. Sometimes I do for a long time. Like I've just filled up these 2 pens. Okay. This one is filled to the brim. There's a bit more in there than I thought there was, the Conid. Yeah, this is all solid ink, right? So this is going to last me a while because it has a fine nib. This is a broad nib, Opus 88. Also going to last me a while because that's also a lot of ink. So I try to write them out till they're empty. But there have been moments where I'm like, sod it. Put the ink back in the bottle, clean them, and put something else in. Because sometimes it gets a little boring after a while. I ink both of those up because I got new bottles of these inks. I had tiny bottles. I had decanted the old bottle into a tiny bottle. I wanted to put that in the new bottle. I don't care about mixing. I really don't care. But I had too much to put in a bottle, so I needed 2 big capacity pens, high capacity, large capacity pens, to drop as much ink from the small bottles as I could, and that's how it worked. So that's why I ended up with that. Hohenzollenbrücke. Yes, I think that's the one in Cologne. Yes, correct. That was the one with the locks that we were talking about earlier. Can't hold back on burping questions. Isn't there an optimal bubble size needed to force the ink out? Probably, yeah, but I don't know what it is. It might even vary from pen to pen a bit. I don't know. Okay, what else do we have? Why do most YouTubers use the statement regarding the quick brown fox when sampling fountain pens? Where did this come from? Well, to be honest, it's a little useless as a pen testing sentence. I just started with it one day and I stuck with it. The reason people use it is that the quick brown fox jumps over, strictly speaking, a lazy dog, because you already have the. That's short. I always use the quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog. It's a pangram, right? It contains all the letters of the alphabet in one sentence, and that's why a lot of people use it. They used to do that for typewriting and to learn how to type and to test typewriters. Clearly, with a fountain pen, if it writes an A, it probably also writes a B. But it just, for me, it just grew that way. I just thought it was fun the first time I did it, and then it stuck. But that's why. And there are other pangrams, and the challenge is to, of course, come up with a sentence that is as short as possible that does include all the letters of the alphabet. So that's why. Is the Omas brand coming back? I wouldn't count on it. I think they're gone. There is some people from the old Omas brand that started Scribo. They make nice pens, but that's a different company now. But they do have the nib stamping machine, I think, and the feed maker, and I don't know if these things are actually called that, but I think they have that. Hi from Israel. Hello. Yeah, the background blinks darker and lighter as you move around as the camera auto adjusts. Yeah, also because I have light skin. Sorry. So that can happen. Yes, that would argue against using that for a review. I got myself a 15mm Browse plakat nib for some casual everyday writing. Totally normal, of course. Yeah, that's serious writing. Can you suggest a good ink and paper combination for my fat writing? As to ink, for calligraphy, I like dip nibs. I have really like Noodler's X Feather because it's a somewhat thicker ink, which flows well in a dip nib. Paper, Clairefontaine is always nice. I've used that a lot for calligraphy. I was quite happy with that. What do you think about clipless fountain pens? Any suggestions? The only reason I don't really like clipless fountain pens that much is that they tend to roll. If you put them on a desk, they will roll unless they are faceted. This is faceted. This does not roll. But when you know that it rolls, then you make sure that it doesn't roll. It's not super difficult, right? So there is that. But I like them. I mean, I don't have anything against. You also have pens with roll stoppers, but I don't have anything against a clipless pen. By no means. I don't know if I have a lot of clipless pens. Do I have a lot of clipless pens? I don't own any clipless pens, so I'm not that's not a huge thing to me. But yeah, there is a certain aesthetic to it, especially having a rushi. Oh yeah, I have a. I have a Genkai, and I have the Urushi pen from Tamanori Studio. Can I put that in here? Anyway, that's somewhere. It's clipless, and I like it, but it's very, very comfortable. But it does roll. You gotta be careful. If one were to reduce a broad nib and desire an interesting, varied line grind, what would you recommend? Depends on how much variation you want. If you want maximal variation, a sharp italic, a crisp italic. If you want a little less, a cursive italic, that's also easier for cursive writing, hence cursive italic. Something like that. Of course, the more you reduce it, the less line variation you'll get, right? Because there is less and less tipping left. Okay. What else do we have? Yes, hello. Nice to see you again. Do you have a favorite noodless ink? Well, let's stick to the X Feather that I just said for calligraphy. I think it's a very nice nib. Very nice ink. Beyond that, I don't really use noodless a lot. You were right about Faber-Castells. I brought the Lou Metallic in broad that performs better than many higher end pens. Yes. I particularly enjoy Thank You Guapo. No kidding. Faber-Castell, fantastic nibs. I don't know how they do it, but they are incredibly smooth, very pleasant to use. So it's hot. They're hot. They're just hot. We have 192 viewers right now. I'm not sure if I've ever had that many. Maybe this time is better than the other time. Feel free to input. If you like getting people to cease using ballpoints and start using fountain pens, would that make you a fountain pen converter? Or a pen evangelist? Do you explore psychology? That was a good one. Thanks for making me laugh. Do you explore psychology mainly out of interest or to find solutions for your inner conflicts, worries? Everyone has some. I don't want to be rude. The question, it's not taken as rudeness. Well, I am a psychologist as a profession, right? I studied psychology, even though I'm not a clinical psychologist. I fear sometimes that this is a matter of physician heal thyself. It's not that easy, I always find, to use those psychological techniques on yourself, even though you know what you should be doing, but you don't always do it. I think that's a continuous battle. Yeah. But it's an interesting, it's clearly a very interesting field because it's my field and I love it. I love psychology. I think it's a very, very good field. But that's pretty much it. Yeah. I know that sometimes I should do more in ways of psychological things. Stop myself from having certain negative thoughts, but it's not always easy, right? You can know that rationally, but then to also do it when you're emotional is not always easy. Yeah. KBF, that was CBF, the Conan bulk filler. Okay. But now I forget what the question was. Wasn't it what ink do you typically use in it? Typically, if that was the question, typically in the Conan, I use Mont Blanc Irish Green. I really like that as an ink in that pen for some reason. Right now, I happen to have Waterman Florida Blue in it. Sorry. Waterman Serenity Blue in it. But normally, Irish Green. Have you reviewed the 2020 Leonardo Momento Zero, the new filling system? I have not, but I'll casually drop some hints to Salvatore because I do want to check it out. It sounds cool. I think it's obvious I have a bit of a soft spot for Leonardo. I really like what they do, so that'd be interesting. Yeah. This question might be very subjective. What's a fair price for a used Mont Blanc 149 and a Pelican M1000? I don't have an answer because it also depends a bit on the seller. But I mentioned him before, Peter Twidle, very nice book, on fountain pens. He recommended this. If a pen is mint, 100%. So if a pen is usually $100 and your pen, you're selling it pre-owned, but it's mint, you sell for $100. If there are some minor scuffs, it's been used, etc., 75%. If it is definitely used, has some scratches, maybe the micro scratches, like it's clearly used, 50%. If it is damaged, 25%. Now, I don't know anyone actually really does that, but as a rough guide, I've always thought that was pretty good. So something along those lines. Steel stub nib. FP Nibs made me a great wet one. Oh yeah, that's a good one. That's fpnibs.com, right? That's good. Yeah. Yes. What else do we have? Thank you for the live videos every week. Thank you for the weekly pen reviews, where you are most welcome. You'll be pleased to know that pen reviews have been scheduled until October 31st or 30th. How many months? How many days? Yeah, again, okay, not 100%, like whatever. Whatever the last day of October is, I have videos till then. Okay. Wait, October 31st. Isn't that Halloween? Whoa. Everything's coming together. Do you have a suggestion for a good pen case? Yeah. Wilhelmus van Nassau. This is pure patriotism. But I'm going to do it anyway. Van der Spek. Van der, V-E-N. Second word, D-E-R. Third word, spec, S-P-E-K. From the bacon. Ironic, for leather company that mainly uses cow leather. But anyway, so this is a pen case I have had for a very long time. Because I'm just thinking, in my second year of studying, so you talk in 2004, I already had this. Given it's now 2020, that's been a while. This thing still basically looks like it's new, and this has been used every day. Yeah, there are a few minor scuffs, but that's the point of leather, I think, that it ages. Very good. It's leather, it's nice and supple, without being too floppy, without being too hard, perfect balance. And there are internal dividers, which I don't think go all the way down, but they go almost all the way down. This is a 4-pen case, which is in the standard lineup, just all black. I like this so much that at some point I contacted them and I said, I have this case, I have it a long time, but I have big pens. So could you theoretically, because I know they do custom work, could you make me something like this for 4 pens, but bigger? And a very sweet lady, I believe she's the daughter, her dad makes the cases. I forget her name right now, but she said, yeah, but you know, how big are these pens? Because these cases, they can hold pretty big pens, which is true. I mean, look, this is an Opus 88 Omar. This is a big pen. It's a king size bulk fill. I mean, this is a big, pretty big pens. I said, no, you don't understand. When I say big pens, right, then I mean really big pens, so that they won't fit. So she said, well, I have to ask my dad. So I said, okay, I want big. She said, okay, I'll ask my dad. So she said, yeah, he can't send me the specs that you would like. I said, okay. She said, yeah, he can't use the normal knife, so it's going to be a bit more expensive. I forgot what I paid. But I found it a very reasonable amount for what it was. She said, tell us everything you want. Like what color leather on the outside, what color leather on the inside, what color stitching. So they really work with you. I came up with this. So this is the normal size for 4 pens, and this is the 4 size for the big boy pens. And I think it's lovely. Black with red stitching and a red inside, which I think is I like that a lot. The black and red's a very nice color scheme to me. There you go, Van der Spek. Nederland. Oh, Nederland. Dutch company, worldwide shipping, VDS shop on Instagram and also website, but you can check them out on Instagram, VDS shop. Okay, Sailor Pro Gear or Pilot CH Custom Heritage 912. For me, Sailor. Last week, got my Conet after 10-month wait. Yeah, sounds about right. Told my sweetie that this is the last pen ever, just today, ordered the pen BBS 487. Cognitive dissonance, acute or chronic disease. This is the way. That's just how it works. You just end up with more pens. This is the way it is. It's okay. What you should really do is do what I did, marry another pen user. Never any issues with should we buy this, should we not buy this. Okay. What else do we have? Nice. What if, this is back to the kitchen, the knives. What if the German knife were made of Japanese steel? Would it be perfection? It could be, and there are companies to do that. Like that Kaishun I have from Williams Sonoma is a little Western in shape, not entirely. Kind of a big gyuto to get technical, but it's like that. I really like that shape. So they do make that kind of hybrid, and they're nice. Okay. I found out, says Ellen, only 2 days ago that Sailor Gentle inks are being discontinued. I need people to mourn with me. Yeah. Yeah. It's sad. But at some point at Akamon, we were there and we had a discussion with Paul, the store manager, and Aziza said, what if X ink, I think it was some turquoise, what if it's discontinued? And Paul, in his infinite wisdom, having been in the pen world for a long time, replied, then there will be another ink. And I think that's a very good way to look at it. I don't fully understand the concept of limited edition inks, he said, initially launching limited edition ink, but there's always another one. There's always something else that's kind of similar, kind of like it, so there'll be others. Don't worry. Marsh Drifter says, never noticed the Sailor ink smell before, but just huffed my pen that has some in it. Sure enough, there it is. Yeah. Smell the bottle, man. Open the bottle, get a and you will notice, because it is noticeable. And it always reminds me of I think it was acrylic paints that we had in primary school. It's that smell. I don't know what it is, but it's something in the ink. Probably. Obviously. Okay. What does it Sailor ink smell like? I just happened to describe that so that we're good. Greetings from Italy. Last week you kept me company while my son was being born. Today, as I try to get him to sleep, well, I can talk. We can do the ASMR again. Maybe he will fall asleep. Pens. Okay. Photocopier toner. Yeah, that's not a bad description of that sailor smell too. Yeah. It is weird. Yeah. I always watch the Conid site. Sorry, I watch the Conid site about every day, but I saw they added black titanium recently. That's pretty cool. Yeah, I think they're probably getting back to business slowly but steadily now. Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. Interesting. Also, people are saying that they get migraines but no headaches. Yes, indeed. So it is possible, and it's kind of weird. Again, it's also freaky because with a migraine, I think what bothers people most about the migraine, of course, is the intense headache, which again I had a couple nights ago, and that was bad enough. But it's what I find scarier is that aura preceding it, where you just have these strange neurological symptoms because they kind of mimic a stroke, and that's a scary thought, right? And if you suddenly lose part of your vision or your ability to speak clearly, it's a bit creepy. Actually, it's very creepy, especially if you don't know what it is. But yeah, people have that, and it's very interesting. It's very interesting. It also shows you how weird your brain is. It's such a complicated organ. Aerobic exercises may help with migraines. Yeah, that's a good thing. I try to move a lot, as much as I can, but yeah, I will do that. What else do we have? Oh, over scroll again. over-scrolled this one. My God, where were we? Oh yeah, I was there. Yeah. Yep. Nice. What's this? Migraine. Yeah, very interesting. It's interesting. It turns out to be relatively common. Not just because you say that, but I know it is relatively common. It's strange. I've never had it. I mean, I'm in my 30s now. I'm 35, so it's interesting that I've never had that. It happens a lot in teenage years, but I'm clearly well beyond that. It's also stress related, and I've had some stresses. So I mean that can happen, that can trigger it. But it's very interesting. As I said, barometric pressure, specific bits of caffeine. Like I'm just having another sip here, and the caffeine is weird too because too much caffeine can give you a migraine, but caffeine can also help with the migraine, mitigate the symptoms because So it's interesting. Tamanui Studio, hello. You'll be pleased to know that I recorded the review of your pen, my man. So that's coming up at some point. And it was positive. Okay. What is your most used EDC item after smartphone, watch, and fountain pen? I typically carry some sort of knife. I hasten to add, for really innocent purposes, I do have quite a couple of parcels to open because I'm sure you'll understand I get a lot of stuff sent to me to review. So that I like to have a knife with. Also sometimes would get stuff at work, like say yet another anatomical model, which I then have to open. So then I would have that. So now the thing is, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to smack this. Now I did, but that time I didn't. Actually wearing headphones. That was dreadful. I'm so sorry. But yeah, so sometimes no. But I rotate a bit what I have. I don't have a massive collection or something, but I do have a few. So I rotate them. Yeah. Got one knife from my friend Simar, which I've carried a lot, which is a very, very nice. It's a zero tolerance knife. Very, very nice. What else? I got my first Leonardo Momento Grande. I'm just going to say it is absolute crap. No, I'm just going to say it is even more beautiful in hand than the pictures do justice. It's very interesting. I found an interesting video just yesterday. I was just on YouTube. I just wanted to watch something, and I found this video by Goldspot Pens where they compared a Momento Zero to the Moonman M800, which is a clone of the Leonardo Momento Zero. And what's his name? Todd? Sorry, I'm blanking. I know his last name is Otto. Anyway, he was comparing the two, and I was looking at the comments, and it was very interesting because a lot of people said, yeah, the Leonardo is not worth it, but the M800 is. Now, if you cannot afford a Momento Zero, I fully understand. Like then yeah, of course, then that's the only option you have. That's perfectly fine. To me, they would be worth it, and I'm happy that I can afford it. But yeah, I find the Leonardos very attractive. I find them very pretty. Should I whip out my favorite again? It is hard to beat. That's a fancy material. So I like that. And the Grande too. It's very, very nice. So yeah, I'm again, I already said that I have a soft spot for the Leonardos. Do you have a favorite iron gall inks? I'm looking to test them out. The only real iron gall ink that I've really used on a bigger scale was from Esri, ESSRI, company in the UK that makes them still for official registrar purposes. Very nice ink. Fairly inexpensive too, because they supply them to the whatever British, like the government, whatever needs them to sign official contracts, treaties, etc., which I understand, at least at that time, had to be done in iron gall ink. So they supplied for that. Very interesting, because there was like ecclesiastic supplies, but then also iron gall. I'm guessing for the marriage certificates and such, but still, that was a very good one. Do you have any plans of making a vlog inside a reputable pen shop? I saw this one video of a Japanese fountain pen shop, and it was really great. I'll see what I can do, but we would have to be not in a lockdowny world. But there is a pen shop in Calgary. There is one in Edmonton. I could do that. I am pretty sure that Aziza has done something about lay wines in Toronto. For sure, she has done field trips to other pen shops. I know it was a vlog, though. There was video in it. But yeah, my idea was at some point to do something in the Netherlands, but then we moved, and so I have to come up with something here. But that I wanted to go to people's pen shops and maybe do an interview with them there. But the difficulty with that is also, like, for example, Paul Rutte is a fantastic guy, the store manager in Akkerman. And he has a great story because he's been in the pen business for decades, but he's also super busy. So it's a big thing to ask if I could do, say, a 1 hour interview with him or half an hour interview with him, because he's running from one point to the next throughout the shop. And this applies, of course, to most people who have a pen shop. Like, that's their income. So anyway, it's kind of a moot point because I'm not in the Netherlands anyway, but it's an interesting idea and I will give it thought. Yes. Have you ever tried the Leonardo Officina Italiana's Momento Zero Grande gold nibs? I'm really fascinated by this pen and for a stub gold nib. I just hope to know your opinion. Thank you. I have not used the Grande with a stub nib, but I have used the Furore with a gold stub nib, and I have used the Grande with a gold broad nib, and both were very nice. So yes, I would recommend them. Nothing else to say. They work well. So I would absolutely recommend them. Yeah. Are you and Aziza still married? Yes, we are. Do you listen to any violin concertos? Probably, but I don't have one that stands out to me right now. But I do like classical music, so without a doubt, I just have to think about which one. But absolutely, yes. What's your opinion on the Lamy 2000? Well, we briefly mentioned it before. It's a classic pen. I like it. I mean, it's not my type of pen, but the design is timeless, I think, and it's a good writer, so I like them. What does listening to music and playing music do to the brain? Well, it's interesting because whereas in most people, language is processed on the left, music is processed typically on the right. And sometimes it's flipped. And that's interesting. So there are different parts of your brain activated in music. And then it also turns out that there's like systems for detecting grammar in music. So, da, 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 right? That is a type of grammar because there's a specific order in which things have to occur for that to sound well. It's a fascinating, there's whole books on that topic, like music in the brain. And I'm definitely not an expert, but it's an interesting phenomenon. Plus, it's been shown that music that you really love can help release dopamine, which makes you feel better, which is why it's a bad idea when you're sad to listen to sad music. What you should really do when you're sad is listen to happy music, because then you have more dopamine and more deep dopamine release, and you can feel a little better. Yeah. Platinum's feedbacky because of the flat size of the tip. When polishing, just focus on rounding it very slightly and it will change the nib a lot. Interesting. I did not know that, but that is interesting. Thank you. Opinions on tools to live by inks? No, simply because I haven't used them. So I can't speak from experience. I was given Mont Blanc James Purdy whiskey scented ink. Do I need to be careful what pen I use it in? You don't have to be careful, but make sure that when you ink up the pen, it doesn't drive. No? Okay, I'll try it. It's a scented ink, and all those kinds of additives always make me a little nervous. But if Mont Blanc makes it for a pen that's $3,000, it's probably safe. I'm not being sarcastic. I mean, I'm assume at that point it's probably safe. That's probably an additive. That's not something that's going to destroy your pen. I'll have to see. But I haven't tried it. I haven't verified it. Maybe that is something you don't want to put in a pen that has, say, a rubber sac. I don't know if it would interfere with the rubber sac, but the rubber, the latex, that can be a little sensitive to inks with fancy stuff in them, I found. I don't know if that applies to this particular ink, but if you want to be absolutely sure, cartridge converter filled pens. And if you want to be absolutely, absolutely sure, only use washable blue. And if you want to be absolutely, absolutely, absolutely sure, only use a pencil. Could you share the name of a nibmeister in Belgium? Preferably one whom you encountered their work. I would love to, but I can't because I don't know anyone in Belgium as a nibmeister. No, John Soroka in the UK, Annabelle through Appelboom in the Netherlands, but I don't know anyone in Belgium. Sorry. What else do we have? Hello from Oklahoma. Hello. Just order the Sailor Pro Gear Slim with zoom nib. An experiment for me. What do you think about zoom nibs? I think they're quite nice. It's fun. Bit weird, but fun. So, like me. What do you think about Diamine inks? I think they're good inks. They make my ink. And that's the reason I don't say that for the fun of it. That's the reason I chose them. I've had very good experiences with Diamines. I thought, well, if anyone's going to make an ink, I want it to be safe. And I've not had issues with Diamine inks, like destroying pens or staining them or anything like that. So, do you think about the probability of manufacturers stopping all the ink production? If so, what will you do with all the pens without an ink? I had never asked myself the question. I think as long as the big pen companies are in business, I'm talking Montblanc, Pelikan, Parker, Waterman, they'll be ink because they have to supply that ink. If they go out of business, yeah, they'll have to use up our inks. But on the other hand, think of a company like Diamine, that's their livelihood to make ink. So if they stop producing ink, then they're gone. So that means that something has gone wrong there. Yeah, that's it. I wouldn't worry about it. And otherwise, we all have to go back to making our own ink. Get some gall nuts and do things with it. And make ink. Food, coloring, like dye. That wasn't like dye. It was like food coloring, food dye. It was not an order. It was an imperative command, like food coloring. That could work. What do you like better, Canada or the Netherlands? Well, they're both very different, but I really like Canada. It's been a fun country so far, so I like it. Your top 5 oblique double broad pens? I really don't know, man. I really don't know. I don't have a top 5 because I hardly use obliques. The oblique triple broad from Montblanc was nice. The oblique double broad, triple broad too, I think, from Pelikan was nice. That's all I know. I don't even know any other companies that make them right now. So those would be my. I don't have a top 5 for sure. Love from India. I got many significant pens after watching your reviews, and I enjoy all of them. Thank you for your contributions. You're very welcome. Oh, good. 10 Sharp, the band. I don't know. Never heard of the band. It's just me. I have a very peculiar taste in music, so. Hello. Nice seeing everyone. Thank you. I know his channel is no more. Do you keep in touch with Matt from the Pen Habit? I have the feeling I get this question every week. As far as I know, which is fine. As far as I know, Matt is fine. We are in touch. I wouldn't say on a weekly basis. Like it's once every couple months, maybe a few months, number of months. As I understand, he's doing very well. So I'm very happy that I think for him quitting, I think was the correct decision. I think he's moved on to different things in his life, and I think that's been very good for him. What notebooks do you use daily? B5 is my favorite size of notebook now, much better than the small A5, but not as big to like as around A4. Yeah, that's what I said before. Like A4, I love A4, but it's big. So I often use A5. I think A5 is a good size that I like in Leuchtturm, for example. Yeah. You got me into fountain pens. Now my kids are also into fountain pens. I'm sorry. It's an expensive hobby. But keep up the good work. Thank you. I appreciate it. What writing instrument and ink, if a fountain pen, do you use to grade student papers and tests? Typically, yeah, I do use fountain pens actually, unless I have to grade something online that's digital, obviously. But on paper, yes, I do use fountain pens. I don't have one pen, but typically something with a fine nib. And if I have to grade a lot, something with a big ink capacity. So often coned. I use my king size a lot for that. And then again, often with green ink. I've talked about this before, but I like green ink because in my mind, green kind of signifies this is something you can improve, as opposed to this is something that's wrong. It boils down to the same thing, but the thought behind it is different, right? Different matter. So let me see. What do you prefer in Canada over the Netherlands? The space is very nice, and also what is very nice in this where I'm now, like Red Deer is a city, not like just Red Deer is a city, has 100,000 inhabitants and has a lot of wildlife. So a short while ago, Anna, with who I do the critical thinking videos, and I were at a bird sanctuary here, and there was a little sort of outlook. We were standing there as a lake, and all of a sudden, there's just a female moose that was just standing there, and then the moose calf came out. I think I said calf, and she said I should say calf. I think that was the thing. Anyway, so that's interesting. That type of wildlife is fascinating. Now, especially if you come from the Netherlands, especially if you come from the Randstad. So the northwest of the Netherlands is quite busy. It's very what do you call that? Urbanized. A lot of cities. So isn't that much wildlife? But here, radically different. So the college where I work, for example, is kind of on the edge of the city. There's green around it. Multiple times in winter, I leave for work 4:30 in winter. The sun sets here. It's dark early, so it's dark. There's snow. The wildlife comes out to forage. They're looking for food. So I've had this multiple times that you leave work at, I don't know, 5:15 or something, and there's just deer walking on the road. And if you, yeah, in a lot of American states and Canada, these kinds of places, that's not a rare occurrence. But in the Netherlands, in the Northwest, you will not see that, not ever. In the east of the country, maybe, because there's more forest there, there's deer there. But I've not grown up in the east of my country. So to me, that is fascinating. I have that type of wildlife I've seen on the road, many deer, and I'm talking about big, big deer. At some point, we had moose in the parking lot at the college. I've seen a fox on the road, many, many hares and rabbits, and all kinds of other wildlife that, you just, elephants, tigers, no, probably not that, but you know what I mean? Like that to me is fascinating because I'm so not used to that. And if you go to a big park or a forest and you may occasionally see a deer, that's really cool. But to see them just walking around town, so to speak, fascinating. And I love that. I think it's super, super cool. What are your thoughts on the probable impending recession on the small scale fountain pen makers and brands? Yeah, I'm nervous about that because it is an impactful thing, and I hope that many of the smaller makers have been able to continue to make pens in isolation or in what do you call that, in lockdown, because if it's like a one person company, you can do that. But people may also not be buying a lot of pens right now. So that is something that I worry for. But again, I hope that once things start to open up, people will want to buy things because they've been inside. And of course, there's also online purchasing that happens a lot. I wonder what the future of pen shows will be. I'm sure that at some point we will have coronavirus under control. But until that happens, I don't foresee a lot of pen shows. Because everybody touches like, the pen, touch my pen. So I mean that's just not a possibility right now. So I don't know if we'll see pen shows in 29. Sorry, what is it? 2020 again? Sorry, 2021. 2020 has been an interesting year, but it's also half over. So I don't really want to say it can't get any worse because that sounds like you're evoking some sort of terror, like, oh, there's a meteorite about to hit us or something. But let's hope for that. Positive thinking. Do you like to browse Reddit? And if so, what do you think about the content posted to the fountain pen subreddit? I think it's fine, but I don't really go there. And the reason is that there has been a period, now this is a while ago, where people were rather nauseatingly mean about myself, about Aziza, about our videos together, and that kind of put me off the whole thing of Reddit. Also because there wasn't really much pushback. It seemed to be sort of like, oh yeah, let's sort of turn it into a giant bashing fest. And that kind of put me off that community. There were also people who did stand up for us, and that's really nice, without a doubt. But it's not something that really appeals to me. But to be honest, I'm not really a forum type person. I know Reddit is special and not forum, but that type of stuff is not something I spend a lot of time on in general, really. So because even the Fountain Pen Network, I if I visit that once a month, I would say that's a lot. Jaw thing. That's it with Reddit. What if a person seldom dreams of people they know? Does that say anything about them? Well, here's the thing: we don't really know the dream. We don't even know why we dream from it, like a brain perspective. I wouldn't worry at all if you don't dream about people you don't know. Dreams are may well be a little random. What I would be careful about is that there is no scientific evidence that dreams have any meaning. So I don't think you have to worry about that. I had a German professor that said, you know when you have learned the language when you dream in German. Yeah, in a way that's true, right? If you've mastered the language, then you can dream in that language. Otherwise, you kind of can't. So when I dream, I see and I hear how my eyes are closed and I'm not listening to actual sounds. How? Any books you can direct me to? Do blind people see in their dreams? Curious. That's a very interesting question. A book? No, I can't recommend a good book on dreams because it's not really a field I'm super familiar with, but I do have to teach a little bit about dreams. So in a tiny nutshell, because we can talk for a very long time about dreams. There are different theories as to dreams, such as if you dream about this pen as a man, that means you want to have a bigger nose, obviously, and that's Freudian, right? Largely discredited. There's no real reason to believe that is true. My favorite theory about dreams is your cortex, so the wrinkly bit of your brain doesn't really work so well when you sleep. It's much less active than when you are awake, which is why you're unconscious. That's the whole point, right? But that is also, especially this frontal part, this is the front, right? This is the back. So the frontal part is what really interprets what happens around you. If I'm talking to you, you have to interpret things. So it's a lot of frontal activity. And that frontal part is just less active when you sleep. But your brainstem, which is very vital, right? This is very active when you sleep, which is a good thing because your brainstem regulates your respiration, your heart rate, your blood pressure, all these kinds of things. So if that would go offline, then you could die, right? So my favorite theory about dreams says, here's what happens. Your brainstem also processes very basic things. Your midbrain processes very basic sensory things. So sound also comes into the brainstem. Vision stuff partially also goes through the midbrain. And those just random signals, either stuff that you really hear, because I'm sure you've had that experience that something like, say, there's a police car that drives by and you dream about police car because you hear the siren. And later someone says, yeah, there was an actual police car, that kind of stuff. But also just random firing, just because everything doesn't really work as it usually does. That random firing is interpreted by those parts of your cortex that are awake and spun into a random story. That's why you can violate laws of physics in dreams, because it's not a coherent story. And that's why weird things happen in dreams, because it is not a coherent story. So it's called the random synthesis hypothesis of dreams, just says that. And some people, students sometimes, when I teach that stuff, they say, oh, that's really aromantic. There goes my dream, my dream. There goes my ideas of dreams are super meaningful. There is no scientific evidence that dreams have any meaning. But that's beyond a shadow of doubt. I don't think that's aromantic at all. It's just different. But I think that's the beauty of science. You can try to explain something. That doesn't mean it's less romantic or less beautiful. It just means that that's really what happens. And yeah, that can be a bit less grand than evocative prophetic dreams. Yeah, yeah, probably not that. So, how can you hear and see? Well, you can imagine things, right? Right now, you can think of the house of your grandparents, even though you may not be there, but you can still picture it. You have visual parts in your brain that can see things even with your eyes closed, or you can think of Beethoven's Fifth Symphony and then you can hear it without it actually playing. Part of your brain can simulate that. The same thing that happens in your dreams. So you can see without seeing, hear without hearing. Can blind people see in dreams? That I don't know. If they've been congenitally blind, they've never seen in their lives, I'm guessing not. But we don't really know what a blind person sees in the brain, right? What images they have. And it's hard for them to describe because if they've never seen something, I can describe to a blind person who's never seen anything what a strawberry looks like, and they can probably form an image, but that may be nothing like what an actual strawberry looks like. Very complicated. I don't know if this makes sense. I hope it does, but that's, I think, somewhat an answer to your question. Okay. In what ways has living in Canada changed you? I will say there is more access to not necessarily super mindful, but entertainment here because shops close at 9 p.m. every day. Some on Sunday a little earlier, but like that's it. So in the Netherlands, I remember the days when shops were open 9 to 5, only Saturday through Friday, and sorry, Monday through Friday, and on Saturday they were open a little longer sometimes, but even that was. So that is something. Yeah, not a massive change, but. What sort of calligraphy script would you recommend for writing with an extra fine titanium nib? Well, especially if it's titanium and you have a little bit of springiness to it, maybe something like a copper plate. It's not easy, but copper plate or a Spencerian script, those can be useful for that. Okay. The temperature of the ink, this is about the eyedroppers. The temperature of the ink would not be why it expands. Water does not expand. No, I know it's the gas. It's the air bubble that expands, right? And that pushes out the ink. That was that type of theory. Do you still cook Dutch food such as stamppot? Yes, I do. Rookworst, a little tough to get here, but stamppot, yeah, andijvie stamppot, hutspot, absolutely. What else do we have? Not a popular opinion. However, I really like the Pen BBS extra fine nibs. I'm an artist. When I draw in reverse with this nib, it's equal to needlepoint. That's awesome. I don't think I've used the Pen BBS extra fine, but it sounds pretty good. What's your experience with Pelican nibs out of the box? I heard they can be hit or miss with baby bottom being the most common problem. I agree, especially on broader nibs. What else? What ink is in your Conid? Right now, it's the Serenity Blue. Hello, hello. Some more people saying hello. Hello, hello. How do you focus better and longer? Yeah, that's another matter of, I think, practice. Do it more. But also bear in mind that people have like a 15-minute attention span. It's about 15 minutes. So the idea of people who can focus for hours and hours on end, it's not necessarily very realistic. You can, by doing it a lot, you can learn to focus a bit, but regular breaks are actually a good thing because we just can't focus for an unlimited amount of time. I have an Opus 88 demonstrator. Can I exchange the nib with any Jovo number 6 nib? I don't know because I don't know from the top of my head if they are Jovo nibs. If they are, then absolutely. If they are not, it may not fit. It looks Jovo-esque to me, but I haven't verified that. Just so you know. Retired in a cottage or in a castle? I'm more of a cottage person. I don't need a lot of space. Have you ever tried the Van Ness White Lightning Elixir? Yes, in fact, I reviewed it very recently. I think just a couple of weeks ago, I had a video on that. It's nice and it works. It does what it does. Yeah. Okay. I recently bought an airmail eyedropper. It's a fine nib, but the ink is not keeping up after approximately 10 lines, after which the line becomes like an extra fine. What would you suggest? That sounds like an issue with the air exchange. Like that, as the ink comes out, air has to get back into the pen, otherwise you draw a vacuum. Fixing that is not easy. You can deepen the channel of the feed. You can find guides to that online. I've had very mixed results with that. That too is something that a nibmeister would be able to fix, but that is not, it's not easy necessarily to do yourself. Sheaffer's script red is exceptionally well behaved. I know you're not keen on Sheaffer's bottle green. No, I'm not. It's a weird color. That aside, do all the Sheaffer bottle inks clean up as well as script? I'm not sure because I've mainly used the green and the red, and the green comes out pretty easily as well. So they are well behaved inks, I agree. Given the same or greater hardness of different elements, could not a material other than iridium be used for tipping? I think actually most pens these days do not use iridium anymore. Even though it often says iridium point, I think it's often not even actual iridium. I don't know why I think that. I think I read that at some point and it made sense to me because I think it was something like iridium is expensive or something, and they have used other materials. But like I haven't run a chemical analysis on the nib tipping that I have. But I'm sure absolutely that they could use something else. I don't think it has to be iridium per se. When you say Faber-Castell nibs, as in very good smooth nibs, do you mean Faber-Castell or Graaf von Faber-Castell? Both, but to be honest, the Faber-Castell, just the regular Faber-Castell, has been great to me always. Yeah. 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 What else do we have? Nice, nice. What else do we have? Why is it some inks just go with some pens? Well, something I've noticed is that if I put a certain ink in a pen, then I always associate that, and then I don't want to have other inks in a pen because it looks off to me. So that's my feeling, that it has something to do with that. But that's just me. I was subscriber 100 and I still have the letter and pens you sent me. That's really neat. That was a while ago. But I do remember that. Yeah. Yeah. A big milestone. Did you try mindfulness and meditation in general? What was your experience? What do you think about it, like clinically? If you look at it from a cognitive perspective, different types of meditation lead to different results. Some meditation types make you more open to experience, others make you focus on something that can lead to more open-ended creativity or more closed-ended creativity. This has been found in research. It has been found that certain physiological parameters change, like you have a lower heart rate when you're an experienced meditator, especially when you meditate, of course. But then simple relaxation training also affects those parameters. I think can definitely be beneficial because it helps you to relax a bit. Having said that, I'm not really a meditator myself, but there are people to whom it's very beneficial to do that as a way to sort of calm down. And yeah. Have you reviewed the Bexley triangles? Yes, I have recorded it. It's possible it's not online yet, but I have recorded it, so it will be at some point. I think it's scheduled probably. Not tomorrow, but next Monday. It should be up. And has that mystery pen arrived yet? No, but it's getting there. We shall see. Hopefully soon. Could someone make me a pen around a Pelican M1000 nib? Yeah, many people. Sean Newton does it, I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure, I mean, it has to be your cup of tea. But again, this 3D printed pen, I think William said he could also make that with an M1000, but I'm not 100% sure. I think he could. What else? The name of the pen case. Yeah, Van der Spek. Van der Spek. It's good stuff. What does a favorite color say about a person's personality? Is there studies that have connected the link? I don't think so. I think these are the kinds of things like for example, even take something like graphology, right? Like the study of handwriting that honestly is mainly bunk. People read a lot of stuff into that. But if you look, at rigorous scientific analysis of these kinds of processes, honestly, nothing ever really is robust. So I wouldn't worry. Okay. Yes. I think we are slowly getting to the end of our period together because it's almost been 2 hours again, which is cool. I like that we all hang around. We can hang around for 2 hours, and I'm not bored. So I hope you're not bored either. What else? What else do we have? I do enjoy this. Now, this is interesting. So Freud's dream theory is not correct. Well, the problem is it's not necessarily that it's not correct. It's just that it can't be tested. Like if a man dreams about horses a lot, then Freud would say, yeah, it's because he wants a bigger penis. Yeah. First of all, show me the man that doesn't. But secondly, how do you test that? How do you test that is really true and that the horse represents, so it's untestable. And this applies to pretty much everything Freud did. I'm not saying he didn't have a point about certain things, but you can't scientifically test it, and that makes it difficult. This is my favorite question of the day. What nib size do you recommend for signing divorce papers? That really depends, man. If you want to make a really bold statement, I would something really broad. Yeah, that's what I would do. All right. We've done this for an hour, 58 minutes, 15 seconds. I think we're going to call it a day. I'm going to try to be here again next week. This was our new time. It was just a necessity. There was necessity today. We will talk again more, I think, next week. I will say I rather like this. The topics was a nice mix of pens and a bit of neuroscience, which I think make for a nice variation. I hope you enjoyed it as well. I definitely did. Many viewers. I'm just kindly tossing it out there that there happens to be a website, patreon.com/SBREBROWN, and you can support me there, like financially. Just saying, you don't have to, don't feel obliged. But once in a while, I just like to mention it, that is a way. If you think, oh, I really like his videos, how could I support him? Patreon.com/SBREBROWN. I'm serious though. No pressure whatsoever. But if you feel, sometimes people ask me, is this something I can do? Yeah, that's something you can do. All right, people. Thank you all so much. I really appreciated this. I really enjoyed this. I enjoyed hanging out with you. And I will see you soon. Of course, tomorrow is another. You want to have a sneak preview of what's going up tomorrow? Let's see what's going up tomorrow. The Mont Blanc 2019 collection, Star Walker. A review to look forward to. I shall see you soon. Bye.